Hello and welcome to the second VEMBU tutorial. Today we will go over how to add equipment and stations. Equipment includes receiver metadata, environmental sensor metadata, and station metadata. Entering tag metadata will be covered in the next tutorial. Go ahead and open up your copy of the VEMBU. You should have already enabled your macros and customized your variables. If not, please see tutorial 1. Before we can deploy or retrieve receivers, the VEMBU needs to know about the equipment. Under the Deployment List tab, you will see Add Receivers, Add Stations, and Add Sensor. We will cover how to add tags at the end. Let's start with Add Receivers. If you hover over each button and pause for a moment, a short description will pop up saying what it does. At least, normally it does. But we'll go ahead and select Add Receiver. A new pop-up window appears. First, enter the serial number of the receiver. For this example, we're just going to pretend the serial number is 123456. The drop-down menu, so this is populated by customizing your variable form, but I can click on the little arrow to the right and select what type of receiver it is. And we have the date purchased, so this is in the format of year dash month, and then day. This date type format will be used throughout the entire VEMBU. Next we have receiver owner. This is useful in case you want to keep track of what receivers were bought under what project. So I'm going to say actually that these were bought personally by John Smith. Maybe they were donated or something like that. And if you have one of the receivers that has an associated tag ID with it, it's one of the internal tags, you can go ahead and place that tag ID. And then we're going to click Save and then Close. Oh, sorry. If you want to add more receivers in, go ahead and add as many receivers as you want, and then you can click Close. All right, let's go ahead and add a station. So we're going to select Add a Station. A new pop-up window appears, and there are explanations or examples of the formats under each of the boxes. The first is the station code. This is a 4 to 6 letter number code, and then there's some examples here. We just need to have no spaces, but you can put a dash if you would like. So just for this example, I'm just calling this AAAA station. The date that it was established, and the drop-down selection of what the attachment method is. And latitude and longitude are all in decimal degrees. Bottom depth, pretty self-explanatory. How deep is it at the site? For the example, we'll put 10 meters. If you tend to do measurements in feet, you can go ahead and change this. It is defaulted to meters. You just need to make sure that all of your measurements are in whatever this type is. Riser length and instrument depth are used to determine where the receiver sits in the water. You can imagine detection efficiency might be different at different depths, or perhaps if a receiver is moored to a surface buoy, it may be less likely to detect a bottom-dwelling species if it is very deep. Again, this just makes it easier to share information about what is actually going on around that receiver. So we said here was an auger system. Let's say the auger is 1 meter in length, and the receiver is at the tip of the auger, so instrument depth would be 9 meters. Let's pretend this receiver is in a reef system, so we're going to go offshore state waters. Habitat type, coral reef. Bottom type, patch reef. The station description is free-form text. This is whatever is useful to you. This may be where you want to write, it's the third piling to the right of a blah blah sign. We'll say here it's next to the sunken tire, whatever you want to put there. Your project is, again, these selections are from your customize your variables. So if this is blank, you need to go back and customize your variables. So you can select whatever project this station was established under. And then we're going to add in the station timeline. Now this has become really useful in the last couple of years to know if this is going to be a permanent station, is this going to be a seasonal station, something like you put receivers out in this location during every spawning season, or if this is temporary where it's only going to be for a few weeks. So we can go ahead and make this a year-round. It'll be a permanent station. This is defaulted to the state that was listed first in your customize your variables, and then your array shortcode is already auto-populated, and station status is defaulted to active. Now you can change this if you happen to have two different array shortcodes, or you can change the state. Please do not change active. So we can hit save and new. Now if I had gotten halfway through this and say I wanted to get up and I needed to go back into the field or whatever, you're not going to complete the form. If it is partially filled out, you don't want to save it, you just want to hit clear form, and then you can hit close. Alright, let's move on to environmental sensors. Select add sensor. A new pop-up appears. So your type is the type of the environmental sensor. So say for this example, we'll put in a temperature sensor. Make is the company. So a lot of us use hobos. I will use that as an example. And the model is your specific type of equipment. The serial number is the unique number for that individual piece of equipment. For this example, we'll just pretend it is there. Date purchase, we're getting a little obvious at this point, but the date the piece of equipment was purchased. And again, you can assign whatever project it was bought under. That can be useful for internal bookkeeping. And I hit save and new, and then close. Technically, right now, the VEMBU has enough information to process deployments and retrievals. If you want, we can open up the table and see where the data are being stored. You do not and should not enter data directly into the tables. The QA/QC rules are built into the forms, not the tables, and the forms have code behind them that automatically updates some fields. But let's have a look. On the left-hand side, you can double-click metadata receivers. We can see that the receiver that we entered is now appearing in the master table. One extra additional column here is that we will have the date automatically processed that it was entered into the system. You can right-click on the tab in order to close it, or you can click the X. We can do the same thing with metadata stations, or excuse me, metadata sensors. And again, we see that our new sensor is there. And with stations. That's it for this tutorial. It might take a bit of time to enter all your equipment, but once you're done, you only have to update the equipment if something changes with it. Stay tuned for our next tutorial on entering tag metadata.